Good evening, everyone. We are about to kick off. We just wanted to give about a minute or two for people that were logging in. I trust the day has been great. I believe you can all hear me. Feel free with an emoji to signify, or you can drop in the chat room. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. I can see the emojis. Thanks very much.
Yes.
Okay, so we are about to kick off. You're welcome to this webinar presentation. It's going to be a short one, but it's also going to be a packed session. The idea from the session is to ensure that we are able to give the maximum benefits to all that is here. It's also an interactive one. So what it means is that we're going to have question and answer sessions where you will be able to ask your questions and you will be able to get feedback. And that's why for us, this is a live session and it allows a lot of benefits. So without much ado, we will kick off. Permit me, I will share my screen. I believe you can all see my screen and at the same time still hear my voice.
Yes.
Great. Okay, my name is Dakpo Gundeji. I lead the team at Certfort Limited. We are a best practice organization. We try to lead the forefront of adoptions of standards, frameworks, and guidelines within the environment, mainly looking at Nigeria and also with aspirations for Africa. Please, as made mention, if you have any comments as we proceed along, feel free to drop a chat because it's configured as a webinar session, so you might not be able to speak except the administrators or the presenters allow you to speak. So today we are taking on the benefits of ISO 14001. We try to do these types of sessions regularly. Last year, we were able to host 3 sessions. And for us, we believe that they are making a lot of impact. Our speaker is with us already. So without much ado, we will go into it. So this is just a brief agenda of today. We're in the introductory sessions and we'll look at the webinar objectives. We'll also look at the presentation. We've broken it into 2 parts so that it's not a continuous monotonous sessions. So there's a part A and there is a part B. And as I made mention, we have question and answers and also interactive where we want to hear from people, perhaps in your own environment, in your own clients, what you believe should be done or can be done to be able to push this. So moving on ahead, training objectives, the idea is to give them people a basic understanding. It will be an overly ambitious activity to see how we can just spend about an hour here and we think that you will learn all that is required on ISO 14001. There is a lot. You will see that when our speaker comes up. Key thing it looks at is looking at a effective environmental management system, and we'll look at how it's done. So for us, for you as an individual and for your own organization to give you that basic understanding and how you can benefit from it. So a bit about our speaker, Michael Adesina. He has various certifications after his name. So therefore, you might see him use some of those terminologies, be it on 9,001, 14,000, 22,000. He has done various levels of training, especially when it comes to safety. So we will see him pull from that pack of knowledge. When it comes to safety, he's going to be saying different things. Past projects or places where he has worked or he's working includes Niger Dock, Chevron, Total, Exxon Mobil. He has a BSc Mechanical Engineering from University of Lagos. Past roles in which he has performed includes being a quality assurance, quality control, material coordinator, traceability inspector. I think those are designations that we don't get to come across in a lot of people. So we feel free to ask him. He's a quality management QMS, quality management systems lead auditor. He's also a trainer. He has worked as a quality assurance engineer and also a lead auditor. So without much ado, I will hand over to Michael. So please, Michael, feel free to take over while I will stop sharing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, Michael, we can hear you, but I don't think we can't see you yet, and we can't see your slides.
Okay, no problem. I'll do that right away. Can you see my slides now?
Hello? I think it's still coming up.
It's still coming up.
Okay.
Just give it about 10, 20 seconds. Should come up.
Yeah, it's up.
It's up now. Okay.
Yeah, it's up. I can see. Okay. I can't see from my side.
You can't see from your side?
No, I can't.
I think I too cannot. So do you mind sharing it again?
Presentation mode, please.
Yeah.
Can you reshare it again?
Okay, so you should reshare it again.
Stop it and reshare.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thanks very much.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Okay. Can you see the slide now?
Yes, we can see it now. I can see it.
Okay. Okay. So, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hello,
good evening, Michael. Maybe you put it in presentation mode.
I've done that already. I don't know what's happening.
We can see your screen already. Maybe you should continue.
Okay. Okay, I think it's better. Okay. So, once again, good evening, everybody. Thanks for your time. Thanks. It's a privilege to be on this platform to talk about environmental management system, ISO 14001 environmental management system. I'll introduce myself again. My name is Michael Adishina, a graduate from the University of Lagos, my BSc. I studied mechanical engineering. I've been working for about 12 to 13 years experience in oil and gas industry. I started my career as a material traceability inspector. I worked as a quality assurance engineer, and I also work as a lead auditor in the organization. So even presently, as I'm talking to you, I'm now working at HSE manager with a Steve Going company, PAMNAS. And my presentation today is basically the benefits of ISO 14001. And before we talk about the benefit of environmental management system, we need to understand environmental management system. An environmental management system, EMS, is a set of process and practice that enables an organization to reduce its environmental impact and increases its operating efficiency. So an environmental management system, EMS, is a framework that helps an organization achieve its environmental goal through consistent review, evaluation, and improvement of its environmental performance. The assumption is that this consistent review and evaluation will identify opportunities for improving and implementing the environmental performance of the organization. The environmental management system itself does not dictate a level of environmental performance that must be achieved. Each organization environmental management system is tailored to its individual objectives and targets. As we all know that we have various companies with various processes. Okay, like if you look at oil and gas, we have, let's say, oil and gas servicing company. We have a company like Domalong, they do fabrication. We have Nigidog does fabrication and construction. We have telecoms company. We have MTN service provider. We have production company like Cadbury, and the environmental management system process for organizations is tailored to individual objectives. It's tailored, like if you look at a fabrication company, the kind of waste they generate is different from a production company, like a food production company. We have different kind of waste, basically. And I'm going to talk about basic EMS now. Now, and EMS helps an organization address its regulatory requirements in a systematic and cost-effective manner. This proactive approach can help reduce the risk of non-compliance and improve health and safety practice for employees and the public. And EMS can also help address non-regulated issues such as energy conservation and can promote stronger operational control and employee stewardship. Basic element of an EMS including the following. Now, number one, we talked about reviewing the organization environmental goals. For organizations, you need to have an environmental goal, analyzing its environmental impact and compliance obligations, setting environmental objectives and targets to reduce environmental impacts and that conforms and comply with compliance obligations, establishing programs to meet these objectives and targets, monitoring and measuring processes in achieving the objectives, ensuring employees' environmental awareness and competence, and reviewing progress of the EMS and achieving improvements. Basically, let me look at the setting environmental objectives. Now, if you look at an organization, as EMS process, the first thing to do for an EMS process basically is to develop an EMS policy for the organization. So if EMS policy will be tailored towards the goal of the organization regarding environmental management system, and from the EMS policy, there must be a statement of commitment to continual improvement, compliance obligation to legal and other requirements, to customer satisfaction as well. Now, if you look at objectives and targets to reduce environmental impact. Now, maybe as I go on, I'm still going to be talking about environmental impact, the activities of the organization, environmental aspect, and the environmental impact of the organization, so we have better understanding of it. So we talked about establishing a program for objectives, talked about monitoring and measuring. In the management system, there's something we call monitoring and measuring of processes. Monitoring and measuring of objectives. We need to have a target so as to measure. So we talked about ensuring employee environmental awareness and competence, and reviewing progress of EMS and achieving improvement. So I'm going to go to number 4, which talks about cost and benefits of environmental management system, which is basically what we are doing now. It talks about cost and benefit of environmental management system. Number 1 talks about the improved environmental performance improved environmental performance. Now, if you're looking at improving your environmental performance, like let me look for a scenario. Now, if you look at an organization that does fabrication, like an example that does fabrications, number one, you need to identify the waste. you need to identify the waste. What kind of waste do we generate from the process of the organization? Now, if you look at the process, the waste. Now, looking at the waste generated from the organization, a fabrication company will definitely generate grits, waste grits, blasting grits. Also, they also generate chips from welding slags. So, and if you look at such process, that's a waste. So you need to identify the waste. You need to have an environmental management control for the waste. Like a company that is offshore that does fabrication, that is offshore, the company will be very careful. They will have an implementation plan to avoid split of grits on the sea. So that's it. Now, if you look at enhanced compliance, definitely we need to comply to the for compliance obligation to statutory and regulatory requirements regarding environmental management system. We talked about pollution prevention. We talk about resource conservation. We talk about new customer market, improving your image and credibility. Now, if like IOCs, that's a company like Shell, Chevron, oil and gas IOCs, they work in line with management system, like quality management system, occupational and OH&S management system, also environmental management system. So if you are certified to environmental management system, ISO 14001, you stand in chance to win contracts for IOCs because they will have confidence in your process. You have confidence, okay, that your process has been reviewed by the certification body. For you to have a certificate means you must have gone through the process of implementation and auditing and certification. Now it talks about increase efficiency and reduce cost. Now, let me go to one or two examples for that. Like organization that have machines that runs in the organizations. If you look at, okay, let me just a general one, like a generator. Now, for you to increase the efficiency of your generator, basically, you need to do your servicing, you need to do your scheduled maintenance, you need to do your routine maintenance. And if you don't do your schedule or routine maintenance, the environmental pollution will be on the high side, and definitely it's going to affect your environment. But if you have an environment management process in order to manage your generator, definitely
Hello, Michael, we can't hear you anymore. Or is it me alone?
No, I think his network is.
He went off.
Okay, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you now.
We can hear you
Yes,
now.
we can.
I still notice the slides is still not in the presentation mode. I don't know why. I'm still seeing just a small set. So I don't know if you can adjust that in the meanwhile also.
Just give me a minute to do that.
Or if you prefer, I can share from my side.
Okay, maybe you do that. I think that's better.
Okay, thanks. Please, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go to the next slide, please. Okay. Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I was talking about increase efficiency, reduce cost. So the next one is enhance employee morale. When you have a suitable environment to operate, to enhance your morale, you have a good place of work. You have a factory that is safe, that the environment is safe for operation. Then it will definitely increase the morale of both the employee, the visitors, the client. So the next one is enhanced image with public, regulators, lenders, and investors. I think I've talked about that before. If you have clients, your clients will have more confidence in your process when they see that you are certified and see you must have gone through the process of implementation, must have gone through the process of review, and you must have gone through the process of auditing, and before you are recommended for certifications. So, and they know that certification bodies does their surveillance audit to check your process, just to keep the certificate running. And the next one talks about employee awareness of environmental issue and responsibility. Environmental issues and responsibility. I said something regarding that before. I talked about the kind of waste you generate in your organization. The waste company A generates different from the waste company B generates. The waste I generate from my organization could be an hazardous waste. And the waste you generate from your organization, it's possible is not an hazardous waste. So the waste I generate from my organizations could have negative effect if I don't control it, could have negative impact on my entire environment, the people around me. But it could be otherwise in some organizations. So we need to carry out awareness of environmental issues and responsibility within the organizations to assign responsibility, role and responsibility for this process. Can we go to the next slide? Okay. Now, EMS under ISO 14001. EMS under ISO 14001. And EMS encourages an organization to continuously improve its environmental performance. That's it. Encourages an organization to continuously improve its environmental performance. That's why we have surveillance audit, which comes up every year for surveillance check to check your process, to be sure that the process still conforming as planned. So the system follows a repeating cycle. You see the figure above. On your side here, we have commitment and policy. We have the planning, we have implementation, we have evaluation, and we have the review. Everything has to do with continuous improvement. Because if your organization is certified now and we just leave it the way it is, that means you might remain on that level if we don't have a regular check. That's why we have continuous improvement. I'm still going to expatiate on commitment and policy planning, implementation, evaluation, and review. So I'm still going to come back to that. The system follows a repeating cycle. The organization first commits to the environmental policy. Environmental policy. Now, a policy is a statement from the organization, a statement of commitment from top management, letting us know their responsibility. Because just like a statement of they are committed in providing a suitable environment for operation, a safe environment for operation. Those are statement of policy, and policy has to be approved by top management. Top management needs to approve the policy, and policy needs to be communicated within the organization, also to external interested party. That means to communicate to internal interested party as well as external interested parties. Then uses the policy as a basis for establishing a plan. Now, from the policy, you set out an objective, which sets this use its policy to establishing a plan which sets objectives and targets for improving environmental performance. So that's it. Now, when you come up with a policy, the policy is a statement from the top management of the organization, a statement of commitment to environmental management system, telling us the organizational role, just like providing a suitable environment, a safe working environment for personnel, working environment, a safe working environment for the client and the visitors. So from the organization policy, then we now set an objective from the framework, which is set by the top management, which is the policy. So we come up with an objective and a targeted objectives for improvement of environmental management system. Now, note, the environmental management objectives should be measurable, because objective is like a goal. It's looking at set objectives is what we are looking at. That okay, previous year we have 90% 90% performance. Maybe this in the new year you are going to, the next set of objectives could be a 5% increase. A suitable work environment for within the organization based on last year performance. So there must be an improvement. So we have a set objectives. The next step is implementation. Implementation, the organization evaluates its environmental performance to see whether the objective and targets are being met. The organization evaluates its environmental performance to see whether its objectives is being met. So how do we evaluate our environmental performance? The way we evaluate our performance, we evaluate our environmental performance based on the set objectives. The set objective is a criteria for evaluating environmental performance. And performance process, that's why we have the inspection process, environmental inspections. You have the review of compliance documents. Also, we have the auditing process. Those are the ways to gather data to measure the suitability of the system. If targets are not being met, corrective action is taken. Now, if you look at your objectives, if you are not meeting up your objectives, then you need to identify the root cause. After identifying the root cause, then you come up with a corrective action. The result of this evaluation are then reviewed by top management to see if the EMS is working. Basically, the corrective action, the results of evaluation, and the review is to be reviewed by the top management to see if the process is working, to see if the organization is meeting up, is conforming to the set process, to measure the process against the organization EMS set objectives, that's environmental management objectives. Management visits the environment policy and set new targets in a revised plan. The company then implement the revised plan, the cycle repeats, and continuous improvement occur. Now, so management revisit plan. Management revisit plan, revised plan, sorry. The management revisits the environmental policy and set new targets in the revised plan. Now, the company then implement and revise plan. The cycle repeats and continuous improvement occur. Now, I'm going to look at this diagram here. That's the continuous improvement cycle. Now, commitment and policy. I've talked about policy. is a statement of commitment from top management. So when you have the commitment, statement of commitment from top management, talk about the planning. The planning process, part of the planning process is setting up objectives. Don't forget the measurable objective that will be measured. So we can measure our performance. If we are looking at 100% performance, so providing suitable environment for the employees, for the clients, the visitors, then we need to look at, okay, what's the level of the organization? Are we meeting up to 100% set? Or if our goal is 90%, our objective is 90%, are we meeting up to the objectives, to the planned objectives? That's planning. Then from the planning, we talked about the implementation. The implementation process has to do with compliance process. Now, communicating the procedures to personnel, within the organization, assigning responsibility and authority. Personnel needs to know their responsibility in line with the environmental management system. So personnel need to know their responsibility. They need to have the procedure on how to carry out their responsibility. And once they have that, they need to be trained. Part of the implementation is to train. Personnel needs to be trained on how to carry out their process. Now, look at the evaluation process, what I just talked about. It talks about the evaluation process, talks about the auditing process, talks about the implementation process. And the final stage is review. Review has to do with to check if we are conforming to the requirement. Are we complying? Are we meeting up the objectives? If we are not meeting up the objectives, part of the review is to come up with the corrective action, to identify the root cause, the corrective action, and we'll continue with continual improvement. So can I move to the next slide?
Okay, Michael, we will have a short break now. This is just to give the participants an opportunity to be able to have their questions ready or to share their questions. I'll hand over to Elijah to handle the next session. So Elijah, over to you.
Okay, thank you. So please, can you see? Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Michael, for the wonderful presentation. So I will just quickly make a brief introduction about Certfort Limited. Certfort Limited is a best practice independent and certification and process assurance company. We also help organizations to solve complex business challenges with best practices, standards and guidance and frameworks. Then we offer different services ranging from certification services, ICT security assurance, verification services, process assurance, testing and inspection, research and development, training and content delivery. So basically our certification service has to do with the ISO standards, like when an organization is planning to get certified to international best practices. We offer different ISO standards ranging from ISO 9001 quality management system, information security management system, business continuity management system. Of course, the environmental management system, we also offer that. Then another ISO standards as well. So if you need any of our service, you can reach out to us. Then apart from that, we offer training services that has to do with the ISO standards. So this is our upcoming training events, and by August 21st, we'll be having our quality management system. So if you are willing to become a lead auditor of quality management system, you can reach out to us. Then we can send you the training brochure and other details of the training. Then also we have our information security management system. Like you are willing to become a lead implementer, you want to know how to implement the information security management system within an organization to secure the data of of your customers and to conform with our international best practices, you can also reach out to us. They will send you the details. Then we also have the ISO 14001 that has to do with environmental management system for lean implementer coming up by September 25th. You can also reach out to us for that. Then we have a business continuity lead implementer coming up as well. So if you need this training, you can also reach out to us. Then there are some other subsequent training programs that we'll be having. Then we also offer corporate training programs for organizations that are willing to, that wants their staff or their employee to become certified with any of these ISO standard. So we are open to business. So you can reach out to us at any time, then we will respond adequately. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elijah. I'm hoping that we have gotten some questions. So please, you can easily drop your questions in the chat, or you can send it to any of the presenters. We will be able to try to take and collate the questions. So we will move on ahead with the presentation. Michael, for the second part of the presentation. Michael, I believe you are ready for us?
I'm ready. Thank you.
Okay, so I will share my screen again. Just give me a minute.
So we have about 20 minutes more.
Yeah, about less than 15 minutes now.
Okay. So
please go ahead.
So
I hope you can see my screen.
I can see your screen. Can you move to next slide?
I can see your screen.
Okay, great.
Okay. So I want to talk about the main stage of an environmental management system. Now, the most commonly used framework for an EMS based on the Plan, Do, Check, Act methodology. The 5 main stage of an EMS as defined by ISO 40001 standard are described below. Number 1, we talked about the commitment to policy. Top management commits to environmental improvement and establish the organization environmental policy. The policy is the foundation of EMS. Number 2, we talked about the planning, which I've already explained to you before. An organization first identifies environmental aspect of its operations. Or oil exploration. Okay, you want to transfer, you have to transfer fluid. You have to transfer fluid from point A to point B on the platform. So the activity for that process is transfer of fluid or transfer of okay, let's say, let me use the word petrol or diesel, transfer of diesel from point A to point B, if that's your responsibility. So the activity for that process is transfer of fluid. The environmental aspect, hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So
yes, Michael, we can hear you.
Yeah. So that's the activity. We have the environmental aspect and we have the environmental impact. So in the process of transferring the fluid, let's assume we have a leakage of pipe. That's an environmental aspect because it's definitely going to affect the environment. So the environmental aspect is spillage. The environmental impact is damage it's causing to the environment. So when we say environmental aspect, environmental impact, I just want to expatiate on that so you have a better understanding. Environmental aspects are those items such as air pollution, I just talked about spillage. We could be water pollution, you understand? So air pollution or hazardous waste that can have negative impact on people and the environment. An organization then determines which aspects are significant by choosing critical criteria considered most important by the organization. An organization then determines which aspects are significant by choosing criteria considered most important by the organization. For example, the organization may choose workers' health and safety, environmental compliance, the cost as its criteria. One significant environmental aspect are determined. An organization sets objectives and targets. An objective is an overall environmental goal. I said it before. The goal is an environmental goal. For example, minimize use of chemical. Minimize use of chemical, that's an example. A target is a detail. Qualified requirements that arises from the objectives. Reduce the use of chemical. So basically, the final part of the planning stage is devising the action plan for meeting the target. This includes designating responsibility, establishing a schedule, and outlining clearly defined steps to meet the target. The steps to meet the target are procedures on how to carry out your process. And if you look at the environmental management process, one of the major aspects of environmental management process is to identify the environmental risk. That's environmental management for ISO 14001 is a requirement for us to identify the environmental management risk. You need to identify the risks and opportunities. You need to identify the risk and mitigations. So that's it. Let's move to the last slide. Now, number 3, implementation. Implementation. An organization follow through with the action plan using the necessary resources, human resources, financial resources. So basically, the environmental management system, organization look at environmental management system, occupational health and safety. The HSE management system in all as health, safety, and environmental management system. We don't bring in money, but we spend money. But in the process of implementing this process, it helps the organization as well to minimize costs. An important component is employee training. When you are doing training for organization, definitely the organization is going to spend it, especially if it's an external training and awareness for all employees, including interns, contractor, so on and so forth. Other steps in implementation stage, including documentation, following operating procedure, and setting up internal and external communication lines. Definitely, for you to implement the process, you need an internal external communication process that talks about who you communicate, who communicates, when to communicate, how to communicate, and so on and so forth. That's the process. Number 4, it's evaluation. A company monitors its operation. I talked about the evaluation the other time. It has to do with process check. It has to do with inspection. Company monitors its operation to evaluate whether objectives and targets are being met. If not, the company takes corrective actions. So for you to take corrective action, you need to look at the root cause. And when you take corrective action, you need to revert back to the organization risk identify to know if it's captured or not. Then if it's not captured on the risk, then you need to revise your risk to update it because of the present anomaly you've identified in the system. That's not making the organization to meet its environmental management objectives. Now, the final one is the review. Our top management reviews the result of the evaluation to see if the environmental management system is working. Management determines whether the original environmental policy is consistent with the organization's value. That's very important. To review the organization policy to be sure that the organization policy is consistent with the organization's value. It's very important. That's why it's advised from top management. It's it has to be approved by top management as a policy. The plan is then revised to optimize the effectiveness of EMS as environmental management system. The review stage creates a loop of continuous improvement for the company. That's ISO 14001. Now, can you go back, please? Can go back to page 2. Is that okay? Number 3, go continue. Okay. So basically, I just want to do a summary of the environmental management system, the benefits. The major benefits of environmental management system is to attract more business from the IOCs. As I said the other time, that process, it takes process for compliance. For you to comply and be certified, you must have gone through the process of auditing, implementation, process of review, the certification body sending an auditor to you. So it gives them confidence that you have a process in place that have been certified by the certification body. And the environmental management system helps to give is like a credibility to the organization. So the external interested parties could have confidence in your process. Have confidence in your process, like a company that produces food processing company. You need to have a good environmental management system process in place. So for your interested party, so they have the confidence that you manage your you manage your waste. You manage your waste properly. The process of managing your waste is to international standard. So that's the environmental management system. And for you to be certified to an environmental management system, we talked about the policy. You must have the organization policy. That's ISO 14001 policy. You must set up objectives, measurable objectives. At the same time, you must set number of objectives, and you must identify the environmental management risk. Why we need to identify the environmental management risk so we can have mitigations. Few years back, we talked about preventive action, correct? Preventive action. Now it's gone to the next stage of identifying the risk and mitigations. Once you identify the environmental management risk and you have the mitigations, you need to have your environmental management system preparedness in place. So by the time you identify the risk, the part of the mitigations will help us to know what we need to carry out our responsibility for environmental management system in the organizations. So employee, creating a suitable work environment for employee, creating a good work environment for the clients, creating a good work environment for the visitors, as well as all your interested party. Also compliance to legal, fulfilling the statutory and regulatory requirements. Environmental management system ISO 14001 helps us to comply to the requirement of 14001. So thanks for your time. I think I'm waiting for questions this time. Over to you, Mr. Dapo.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we are in the question and answer. I think I've seen a few questions. So Moses and the speaker will help to coordinate this particular one. If for any reason you want to speak, you can just indicate by show of hand, and they will help to take in your questions. Or if you have any comments, feel free. Over to you, Moses. Thank you. Moses, we cannot hear you because you are muted.
Sorry about that. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. We're honored and delighted to have you here. And on behalf of the Certfort team, I'm saying thank you for coming. So the first question we have here is, do you carry out environmental audit for organizations? And yes, because as we stated initially, that anything that practice that has to do with or any process that has to do with attaining best practice, that is where you find Certfort. So yes, we do. Yes, we carry out environmental audit for organizations. So we can engage you outside this session on that, but we do that as long as it's best practice. That is what Certfort stands for. So yes, please, we do. Does anybody have questions by the show of hand or any other inquiry? We're here to answer. I believe one or two of us should have an inquiry, even if it has to do with something about the session. You can still ask a question. We're open to answer those questions. Okay. Someone says, I get this is for Emmanuel to answer. Is 14,001 or does 14,001 apply to climate change and greenhouse gases emission? Emmanuel, please, over to you.
I believe you mean Michael.
Michael, sorry. Michael, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Please, did you get the question, or should I read it out again?
Yeah, you can read it out again. Talk about climate change. I think I was having issue with my network.
Yes. Does 14,001 apply to climate change and greenhouse gas emission?
Okay. So let me talk about 14,001 deals with the need to adapt to any change in environmental conditions, and hence include matters such as the need to adapt to other environmental issues. Now, from the question you just read now. Hey, hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Now, like I gave an example the other time. I talked about emissions from generator. So that could affect the climate. So how 14,001 deals with it is part of our environmental management plan to ensure continuous compliance in servicing of the generator. I'm just using generator as an example. We have our cars. We have our cars. We have some big equipment due to emissions. So part of the control is scheduled maintenance, routine maintenance to reduce the impact. To reduce the impact. So basically, ISO 14001 addresses that. It's applied to it. It's applied to climate change and greenhouse gases emission.
Okay, thank you very much. So Michael has shed light on that. So yes, it's adaptable to everything environment. We have the next question. Can we have your training calendar for the year? Sure. We would email all the participants in this session. Please, if you want to send, you want it sent to an alternative or an alternative email address, you can just put it in the chat here. But based on the email you used to register, we will send out our training calendar for the rest of the year. It would be our pleasure to do that after the session. Thank you. Any other questions? Do we have any other questions, contributions? You could signify by raising your hand and you'll be given a session. Okay. Okay. Can we also say that environment waste management does not cover the availability of trees because trees equally have their aspect and impacts? Michael, can you answer that?
Can you come again with the questions?
Can we also say that environment waste management does not cover availability of trees because trees equally have their own aspect and impacts?
Okay, the impact of trees in the environment.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand. Environmental management system is applicable to all. Okay. So because the impact of trees in the environment, we have positive impact of a tree in the environment, and we also have a negative impact of trees in the environment. Part of the negative impact is, we have leaves falling from the tree. So when you wake up in the morning, the first thing when you come outside, you see everywhere filled with. So you need to have the control measures. So environmental management is applicable to it. And not having, if you have tree in your environment, it's good. It has its own positive impact as well. So it's applicable.
Okay. We have another question. Sorry, please hold. It says, how lucrative is ISO 14001 as a service offering as consultants? Is there huge demand for ISO 14001 specialists? Before Michael sheds light, I would say from Michael's profile, it's an attestation to how lucrative it could be. For him to have done this for this long, and we saw the places that he's worked and serviced. So I think that answers it, but would let Michael answer in his own experience if being in ISO 14001 has been a lucrative venture for him. Michael, can you just affirm to that, please?
Yeah, let me expatiate by this question is, well, it's good to ask questions like this because whatever you do, you want to know how the positive side of it. I started my career as a material control. Let me go through it again. And over time, I saw a pool of auditors in the organizations have interest. I joined them, and I've been carrying out audit doing the auditing job for over 12 years now. I've been doing the auditing job for over 12 years. I have my advanced auditing techniques. I did my advanced auditing techniques with PCB the last time they came to Nigeria, 4 Point by Sheraton. I've gone places. And over time, when you carry out audit, the more audit you do, the more experience you gather. The more training you go for, the more exposure you have. And you definitely have huge demand. We have auditors outside there that does not really have, they don't really have offer. But it depends on how you carry out your audit. Your professionalism matters. You need to have a mentor. You need to have somebody who will train you. You need to be an observer for some time. The recommendation matters. I've gone to organizations where after auditing, because of the my style of auditing, let me put it that way, you see them recommending me. They call the certification body that we want Mr. Additional to come back. So that's recommendation. So we have huge demand of ISO auditors for 14001, quality management system, occupational health and safety. So we have even food safety management system. I'm also certified to food safety management system. And there was a time I was out of a regular job for for some time, and I've always been getting offers. I didn't even feel it that I doesn't have a job. So definitely, it's good. It's good, and well, what I'm looking out at my 60s, I'm going to concentrate more on management system. The only thing I'll do is consultation and audit. So at that age, you can basically, and most of the time, I get virtual audit. Even when we had the coronavirus issue, I was at home working, both home and abroad. Even you can audit from Nigeria, you can audit an organization abroad, and you get paid. So it's good. You need to start with the training. You need to be exposed. Don't ask questions, and then you get it. And also, when you have your log, you need to fill your log. So you can be on the Cognizant site, you can be on PCB site, you can be on IRCA site. Those are ways to market yourself. I know. So that's it. It's good. You have huge demand for it.
Okay, thank you very much. So bottom line, yes, there's demand for it. However, you also have to build yourself right. And like Michael has given us tips on how to start off while building yourself. So again, for Samuel that asked that question, I think one of the first steps is to actually sign up for the training. It will take you, that is a good place to start. Samuel says, well, what industry has the most demand for 14,001? Well, I think it's across board because different industries deal with environment. So it's across board. I mean, it's across board. So it's not like one industry is centric to it and another isn't. It's across board. Telecoms to manufacturing to just depends on the operations.
Sorry if I could add to this. The telecoms, when they were looking at 5G, they have to do a lot of environmental assessment before the release of 5G, before it came to implementation. They had to do review, environmental aspects, what effect is it going to have on the environment. We have so much rumor there that coronavirus as a result of the 5G. You understand? So across oil and gas, as they don't joke with environmental management system as well. It has to do with spillages, environmental pollutions. That's it. It's across board.
Okay, thank you. So someone is asking what other offerings do we have apart from ISOs? So when we say best practice, it transcends ISOs. We do verification services, we do process assurance. We can even come to audit your infrastructure. We can come to audit your infrastructure, meaning like your IT infrastructure, for instance. We can come to assess the integrity and the resilience. We also do process improvements. If you would have us to do that, we do that too. So everything that surrounds, like we said earlier, information security, meaning around vulnerability management, we have pen tests. All of that is within our purview, and training too. So we also have specialized training. If you need us to do trainings customized within the tenets of what we do for your organization, we can customize something for your organization. So yes, from business continuity too, even if it's not the typical ISO you're going for, but you want to put some things in place for business continuity, we are at hand to do that. Process assurance, assuring the processes, verifying it, and making sure that you follow best practice. So business process management, business process improvement, we do that too. So another thing we would also do is to send out our profile with the training calendar. So there'll be quite more details in the profile. So we'll send both of that to you. Okay, so there's a question that says, what tools are required for EMS? If there are hardware tools required for EMS. Michael, can you answer that, please?
Okay, what tools? are required
Yes,
for
hardware
EFs.
tools. Are there any hardware tools required outside
So,
logical tools?
yeah, I cannot say anyone now because it has to do with the organization process.
Okay, so it's centric to the process. Okay, so Samuel, it's there's a process to it. So you can't just say it's a visual inspection and audit. In between those two, there are other processes, you know. So it's not a straight line graph. It's not just inspect and audit. There are other things involved, and that's also one of the reasons why you should be part of the training. So this will take you up to speed with it. And Mary, we've seen your email. You're interested in the audit training. That is fine. We're going to send out the details you need for the training. We're going to send out the details you need for the training. So you would get that after this session. Any other question? Any other question? Please, if you have, okay. Someone is asking, is there any form of review that gives an organization that comfort that its service provider in terms of certification process is updated with current practice for the specific field of business of the organization? So what I would say is you cannot employ typically a driver without a driver's license. So Henrietta, it's like you're at risk when you take a driver without a driver's license and you tell him that take me to Kaduna from Lagos. So anybody or any organization that is going to render these services to you would have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that they are qualified to do so. How do you know? What certifications do they have? The profile of we've seen Michael's profile today. No doubt, if he comes for a certification, nobody can say he's not qualified. And same thing goes for the consultants we have at other consultants we have at Certfort. We're well-seasoned and trained consultants, people that have done jobs across industries. So experience is another thing. So the right licenses and the right experience, that is something that you should look out for, and that is something that we are offering. Sorry, Nimota, we may not. Okay, so Michael, can you just touch on this? He says that can you shed more light on carbon credit, carbon offset, and carbon footprints? Michael, did you get that?
Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Did you get the question?
Okay. Yeah. You talked about carbon
Credit, carbon offset, and carbon footprint.
It's a permit allowing the holder to emit a limited amount of carbon dioxide or other greenhouse gases.
Okay.
It's a permit, really.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other questions, any contributions, any inquiries? We're here to answer your question. This session was specially put for you and with you in mind. So that's why we're here. That's why we're here. Okay, so I'll just give another, say, 30 seconds if there's nothing. So for the person that asked them how you would know, I think I've answered that. How do you have confidence in the services of the provider? Like we said earlier, from the profile of the company, the consultants, and also the licenses that the company is showing to you. You can tell. You cannot get a cobbler to come and fix your car engine.
Can I add to that, please?
Yes, please.
Yeah, if you have an auditor coming to your organization to audit you, or the certification body recommend an auditor to audit the organization, you can ask the certification body, you can send a mail to them requesting the qualifications of the auditor. So for you to be sure that, okay, the auditor coming is qualified, he's experienced, he has is knowledgeable of your process. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you need, it's not just that, okay, they are coming to satisfy us. No, you need to be sure. You can ask questions, send a mail to them, request for the qualification of the auditors, and you'll be good to go. So that's it. So there's nothing bad in requesting for.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so thank you very much to everyone. If there are further questions, you can email you can send an email, which we're putting in the chat right now, which is training@certfort.com, training@certfort.com. You can email that for any further inquiries you need clarification on. So thank you very much. Once again, my name is Moses Omolaye, and I'm calling back Dapo Ogundeji to come and Ogundipe to come and give us the vote of thanks. Thank you. You're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now, please?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. I believe it has been an interactive session. I'm seeing several questions that are not directly on ISO related. So I'll just quickly take about a minute or two to just share a bit more light on some of those services being offered, not specific on the ISOs. I believe you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. As made mention, we're looking at best practice, and it looks at standards, it looks at frameworks there. So other things we're looking at is consulting services, things to do with digital transformation, IT risk assessment, due diligence, especially for organizations where we see there is an attempt to merge or to acquire there. IT project management, and we're currently doing that with a particular organization. They are deploying Microsoft Dynamics, and we are the project manager for that in activity. Process documentations, organizations want process documentations with, be it with regards to their clients or be it with regards to regulators there. Data center testing, we do a bit of that. I'm sure a few of us might have heard of terminologies where you hear about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and what have you, data centers. Website testing, be it pre and post-launch. Telecoms infrastructure commissioning, we also help to do that. A key aspect we do is also the vulnerability assessment penetration test, especially people that are in the financial sectors. You will see us having to do that. The regulators have said, oh, at a particular level of frequency, you need to do this, and some of it need to. GDPR, that is the EU General Data Protection. Nigeria also has their own, the Nigerian Data Protection. We're actually about completing a project with a client, and we're hoping within the next few days they will get their compliance certificate from the Nigerian Data Protection Commission. Cyber security maturity verification. A lot of our infrastructure are in the cloud, and then therefore the need to ensure that we are having cyber security practices. With regards to training, it's not only traditionally the classroom or the instructor-led training, we're also having e-learning. If you go to our website, you will see various e-learning. Of course, the advantage of the e-learning is that you take the training at your own pace and at your own time, especially for some of us that maybe your regular 8 to 5 schedule will not permit you to do trainings. And for some organizations, we also help in content creation, generation, and also assessments there. We do a bit of research and development. If you go to our website, you will see something. I think we will drop the link on of our website for some of us that may not have had it. You will see write-ups we've done, be it with regards to the African regional and trade agreement which was set up, or be it with regards to anything on cyber, e-Naira. We've done presentations on that. Just the idea is we will provide thought-provoking concepts to be able to push some of these things there. I made mention of security. That's our key forte. We do a lot of that. With regards to governance, we do a bit of that. Business continuity, Moses made mention of that. And it's our great pleasure again to have had you with us for this short period. Please, we made mention that for people that have been able to, I think, stay about 75% of the training of this webinar session, you will be entitled to getting a certificate of attendance. So please watch out for the certificate, which will come in a few days' time in your email box. So as many of people that have registered, you will get it. If you didn't register and somebody shared the link with you, please do well to just drop your email in this in the chat sessions, and the team will surely get across to you. Once again, thank you very much, and we trust you will have a great day. And thanks once again to our speaker, Michael Additional. We believe he has been able to at least inform us and get us better tuned to the benefits and advantages of an ISO 14001 environmental management system. Have a great day, and thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Elijah, you can have